My brethren and my children, hearken to Yoseph, the beloved of Yasharal. Give ear, my sons, unto your father. I have seen in my life envy and death, yet I went not astray, but preserved in the truth of Yahuwah. These my brethren hated me, but Yahuwah loved me. They wished to slay me, but the Elohim of my fathers guarded me. They let me down into a pit, and the Most High brought me up again. I was sold into slavery, and Yahuwah of all made me free. I was taken into captivity, and his strong hand succored me. I was beset with hunger, and Yahuwah himself nourished me. I was alone, and Elohim comforted me. I was sick, and Yahuwah visited me. I was in prison, and my Elohim showed favor unto me. In bounds, and he released me. Slandered, and he pleaded my cause. Bitterly spoken against by the Egyptians, and he delivered me. Envied by my fellow slaves, and he exalted me. And this chief captain of Pharaoh entrusted to me his house. And I struggled against a shameless woman, urging me to transgress with her. But the Elohim of Yasharal, my father, delivered me from the burning flame. I was cast into prison, I was beaten, I was mocked, but Yahuwah granted me to find mercy in the sight of the keeper of the prison. For Yahuwah doth not forsake them that fear him, neither in darkness, nor in bonds, nor in tribulations, nor in necessities. For Elohim is not put to shame as a man, nor as the Son of Man is he afraid, nor as one that is earthborn is he weak or affrighted. But in all those things doth he give protection, and in drivers' way doth he comfort, though for a little space he departeth to try the inclination of the soul. In 10 temptations he showed me approved, and in all of them I endured. For endurance is a mighty charm, and patience giveth many good things. How often did the Egyptian woman threaten me with death? How often did she give me over to punishment, and then call me back and threaten me? And when I was unwilling to company with her, she said to me, Thou shalt be master of me, and all that is in my house, if thou wilt give thyself unto me, and thou shalt be as our master. But I remembered the words of my father, and going into my chamber, I wept and I prayed unto Yahuwah. And I fasted in those 7 years, and I appeared to the Egyptians as one living delicately. For they that fast for Elohim's sake receives beauty of face. And if my master were away from home, I drank no wine, nor for 3 days did I take my food, but I gave it to the poor and sick. And I sought Yahuwah early, and I wept for the Egyptian woman of Memphis, for very unseemingly did she trouble me. For also at night she came to me under pretense of visiting me. And because she had no male child, she pretended to regard me as a son. And for a time she embraced me as a son. And I knew it not, but later she sought to draw me into fornication. And when I perceived it, I sorrowed unto death. And when she had gone out, I came to myself and lamented for her many days, because I recognized her gall and her deceit. And I declared unto her the words of the Most High, if happily she would turn from her evil lust. Often therefore did she flatter me with words as a holy man, and guiltfully in her talk praised my chastity before her husband, while desiring to ensnare me when we were alone. For she lauded me openly as chaste, and in secret she said unto me, Fear not my husband, for he is persuaded concerning thy chastity. For even should one tell him concerning us, he would not believe it. Owing to all these things, I lay upon the ground and besought Elohim that Yahuwah would deliver me from her deceit. And when she had prevailed nothing thereby, she came again to me under the plea of instruction, that she might learn the word of Elohim. And she said unto me, If thou willest that I should leave my idols, lie with me, and I will persuade my husband to depart from his idols, and we will walk in the laws by thy master. And I said unto her, Yahuwah willeth not that those who reverence him should be in uncleanness, nor doth he take pleasure in them that commit adultery, but in those that approach him with a pure heart and undefiled lips. But she hid her peace, longing to accomplish her evil desire. And I gave myself yet more to fasting and prayer, that Yahuwah might deliver me from her. And again, at another time, she said unto me, If thou wilt not commit adultery, I will kill my husband by poison, and take thee to be my husband. And I therefore, when I heard this, rent my garments, and said unto her, Woman, reverence Elohim, and do not this evil deed, lest thou be destroyed. For know indeed that I will declare this thy device unto all men. She therefore, being afraid, besought that I would not declare this device, and she departed, soothing me with gifts, and sending to me every delight of the sons of man. And afterward she sent me food mingled with enchantments. And when the Enoch who brought it came, I looked up and beheld a terrible man giving me with the dish a sword, and I perceived that her scheme was to beguile me. And when he had gone out, I wept, nor did I taste that or any other of her food. So then, after one day, she came to me, and observed the food, and said unto me, Why is it that thou hast not eaten of the food? And I said unto her, It is because thou hast filled it with deadly enchantments. And how sayest thou, I come not near to idols, but to Yahuwah alone? Now therefore know that the Elohim of my father have revealed unto me by his angel thy wickedness, and I have kept it to convict thee, if haply thou mayest see and repent. But that thou mayest learn that the wickedness of the ungodly have no power over them that worship Elohim with chastity, behold, I will take of it and eat before thee. And having so said, I prayed thus, The Elohim of my fathers and the angel of Abraham be with me, and I ate. And when she saw this, she fell upon her face at my feet, weeping, and I raised her up and admonished her, and she promised to do this iniquity no more. But her heart was still set upon evil, and she looked around how to ensnare me, and sighing deeply she became downcast, though she was not sick. And when her husband saw her, he said unto her, Why is thy countenance fallen? And she said unto him, I have a pain at my heart, and the groaning of my spirit oppresses me. And so he comforted her, who was not sick. Then accordingly seizing an opportunity, she rushed unto me, while her husband was yet without, and said unto me, I will hang myself, or cast myself over a cliff, if thou wilt not lie with me. And when I saw the spirit of Beliar was troubling her, I prayed unto Yahuwah, and said unto her, Why, wretched woman, art thou troubled and disturbed, blinded through sins? Remember that if thou kill thyself, Astaho, the concubine of thy husband, thy rival, will beat thy children, and thou wilt destroy the memorial from off the earth. And she said unto me, Lo then, thou lovest me. Let this suffice me, only strive for my life and my children, and I expect that I shall enjoy my desire also. But she knew not that because of my Elohim I spake thus, and not because of her. For if a man have fallen before the passion of a wicked desire, and become ensnared by it, even as she, whatever good thing he may hear with regards to that passion, he receiveth it with a view to his wicked desire. I declare therefore unto you, my children, that it was about the 6th hour when she departed from me, And I knelt before Yahuwah all day and all the night, and about dawn I rose up weeping the while and praying for a release from her. At last, then she laid hold of my garments forcibly, dragging me to have connection with her. When therefore I saw that in her madness she was holding fast to my garment, I left it behind and fled away naked. And holding fast to the garment, she falsely accused me. And when her husband came, he cast me into prison in his house. And on the morrow he scourged me and sent me into Pharaoh's prison. And when I was in bounds, the Egyptian woman was oppressed with grief. And she came and heard how I gave thanks unto Yahuwah, and sang praise in the abode of darkness, and with glad voice rejoiced, glorifying my Elohim, that I was delivered from the lustful desires of the Egyptian woman. And often hath she sent unto me, saying, Consent to fulfill my desire, and I will release thee from thy bonds, and I will free thee from the darkness. And not even in thought did I incline unto her. For Elohim loveth him who in a den of wickedness combines fasting with chastity, rather than the man who in king's chambers combines luxury with license. And if a man liveth in chastity, and desireth also glory, and the Most High knoweth that it is expended for him, he bestoweth this also upon him. How often, though she were sick, did she come down to me at unlooked for times, and listen to my voice as I prayed. And when I heard her groaning, I held my peace. For when I was in her house, she was wont to bare her arms and breast and legs, that I might lie with her, for she was very beautiful, splendidly adorned in the order to beguile me. And Yahuwah guarded me from her devices. Ye see, therefore, my children, how great things patience worketh in prayer with fasting. So ye too, if ye follow after chastity and purity, with patience and prayer, with fasting and humility of heart, Yahuwah will dwell among you, because he loveth chastity. And wheresoever the Most High dwelleth, even though envy or slavery or slander befalleth a man, Yahuwah who dwelleth in him, for the sake of his chastity, not only delivereth him from evil, but also exalteth him as me. For in every way the man is lifted up, whether in deed or in word or in thought. My brethren knew how my father loved me, and yet I did not exalt myself in my mind. Although I was a child, I had the fear of Elohim in my heart, for I knew that things would pass away. And I did not raise myself against them with evil intent, but I honored my brethren, and out of respect for them, even when I was being sold, I refrained from telling the Ishmaelites that I was a son of Jacob, a great man and mighty. Do ye also, my children, have the fear of Elohim, and all your works before your eyes, and honor your brethren. For everyone who doeth the law of Yahuwah shall be loved by him. And when I came to the Endocopita with the Ishmaelites, they asked me, saying, Art thou a slave? And I said that I was a homeborn slave, that I might not put my brethren to shame. And the eldest of them said unto me, Thou art not a slave, for even thy appearance doth make it manifest. But I said that I was their slave. Now when we come into Egypt, they strove concerning me, which of them should buy me and take me. Therefore it seems good to all that I should remain in Egypt with the merchants of their trade until they should return, bringing merchandise. And Yahuwah gave me favor in the eyes of the merchants, and he entrusted unto me his house. And Elohim blessed him by my means, and increased him in gold and silver, and in household servants. And I was with him 3 months and 5 days. And about that time the Memphian woman, the wife of Pinefris, came down in a chariot with great pomp, because she had heard from her eunuchs concerning me. And she told her husband that the merchants had become rich by means of a young Hebrew, and they say that he had assuredly been sold out of the land of Canaan. Now therefore render justice unto me, and take away the youth to thy house. So shall the Elohim of the Hebrews bless thee, for grace from heaven is upon him. And Pentephris was persuaded by her words, and commanded the merchant to be brought, and said unto him, What is this that I hear concerning thee, that thou stealest person out of the land of Canaan, and stealest them for slaves? But the merchant fell at his feet, and besought him, saying, I beseech thee, my master, I know not what thou sayest. And Pentephris said unto him, Whence then is the Hebrew slave? And he said, The Ishmaelites entrusted him unto me until they should return. But he believed him not, but commanded him to be stripped and beaten. And when he persisted in this statement, Pentephris said, Let the youth be brought. And when I was brought in, I did obeisance to Pentephris, for he was third in rank of the officers of Pharaoh. And he took me apart from him, and said unto me, Art thou a slave or free? And I said, A slave. And he said, Whose? And I said, The Ishmaelites. And he said, How dost thou become their slave? And I said, They bought me out of the land of Canaan. And he said unto me, Truly thou liest. And straightway he commanded me to be stripped and beaten. Now the Memphian woman was looking through a window at me while I was being beaten, for her house was near, and she sent unto him, saying, Thy judgment is unjust, for thou dost punish a free man who hath been stolen, as though he was a transgressor. And when I made no change in my statement, though I was beaten, he ordered me to be imprisoned until he said the owner of the boy should come. And the woman said unto her husband, Wherefore dost thou detain the captive and well-born lad in bonds, who ought rather to be set at liberty and be waited upon? For she wished to see me out of a desire of sin, but I was ignorant concerning all these things. And he said to her, It is not the custom of the Egyptians to take that which belongeth to others before a proof is given. This therefore he said concerning the merchant, but as for the lad, he must be imprisoned. Now after 24 days came the Ishmaelites, for they had heard that Jacob my father was mourning much concerning me. And they came and said unto me, How is it that thou said that thou was a slave? And lo, we have learnt that thou art the son of a mighty man in the land of Canaan, and thy father still mourneth for thee in sackcloth and ashes. When I heard this, my bowels were dissolved, and my heart melted, and I desired greatly to weep, but I restrained myself, that I should not put my brethren to shame. And I said unto them, I know not, I am a slave. Then therefore they took counsel to sell me, that I should not be found in their hands. For they feared my father, lest he should come and execute upon them a grievous vengeance. For they had heard that he was mighty with Elohim and with men. Then said the merchants unto them, Release me from the judgments of Pentephris. And they came and requested me, saying, Say that thou wast bought by us with money, and he will set us free. Now the Memphian woman said to her husband, Buy the youth, for I hear, said she, that they are selling him. And straightway she sent an eunuch to the Ishmaelites, and asked them to sell me. But since the eunuch would not agree to buy me at their price, he returned, having made trial of them. And he made known to his mistress that they asked a large price for their slave. And she sent another eunuch, saying, Even though they demand 2 minas, give them, do not spare the gold, only buy the boy and bring him to me. The eunuch therefore went and gave them 80 pieces of gold, and he received me. But to the Egyptian woman he said, I have given 100. And though I knew this, I held my peace, lest the eunuch should be put to shame. Ye see therefore, my children, what great things I endured, that I should not put my brethren to shame. Do ye also therefore love one another, and with long suffering hide ye one another's fault. For Elohim delighteth in the unity of brethren, and in the purpose of a heart that takes pleasure in love. And when my brethren came into Egypt, they learned that I had returned their money unto them, and upbraided them not, and comforted them. And after the death of Jacob my father, I loved them more abundantly, and all things whatsoever he commanded I did very abundantly for them. And I suffered them not to be afflicted in the smallest matter, and all that was in my hand I gave unto them. And their children were my children, and my children as their servants, and their life was my life, and all their suffering was my suffering, and all their sickness was my infirmity. My land was their land, and their counsel my counsel. And I exalted not myself among them in arrogance because of my worldly glory, but I was among them as one of the least. If ye also therefore walk in the commandments of Yahuwah, my children, he will exalt you there, and will bless you with good things forever and ever. And if anyone seeketh to do evil unto you, do well unto him, and pray for him, and ye shall be redeemed of Yahuwah from all evil. For behold, ye see that out of my humility and long suffering I took unto wife the daughter of the priest of Heliopolis, and 100 talents of gold were given me with her, and Yahuwah made them to serve me. And he gave me also beauty as a flower beyond the beautiful ones of Yasharal, and he preserved me unto old age and strength and beauty, because I was like in all things to Jacob. And hear ye, my children, also the vision which I saw. There were 12 hearts feeding, and the 9 were first dispersed over all the earth, and likewise also the 3. And I saw that from Yehuda was born a virgin, wearing a linen garment, and from her was born a lamb, without spot, and on his left hand there was as it were a lion. And all the beasts rushed against him, and the land overcame them, and destroyed them, and trod them under foot. And because of him the angels and men rejoiced, and all the land. And these things shall come to pass in their season, in the last days. Do ye therefore, my children, observe the commandments of Yahuwah, and honor Lui and Yehuda, for from them shall arise unto you the Lamb of Elohim, who taketh away the sins of the world, one who saveth all the Gentiles and Yasharal. For his kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, which shall not pass away, but my kingdom among you shall come to an end, as a watcher's hammock, which after the summer disappeareth. For I know that after my death the Egyptians will afflict you, but Elohim will avenge you, and will bring you into that which he promised to your fathers. But ye shall carry up my bones with you, for when my bones are being taken up thither, Yahuwah shall be with you, and light and Beliar shall be in darkness with the Egyptians. And carry ye up Asenath your mother to the hippodrome, and near Rachel your mother bury her. And when he had said these things, he stretched out his feet, and died at a good old age. And all Yasharal mourned for him, and all Egyptians with a great mourning. And when the children of Yasharal went out of Egypt, they took with them the bones of Yoseph, and they buried him in Hebron with his fathers, and the years of his life were 110 years.